Hi, I'm Bryce.
And I'm Jimmy.
We are telecom and creative professionals. We're also fans of podcasting as our respective careers give us an abundance of windshield time.
While there is a podcast for just about any obscure topic you can think of, there was no regular podcast pertaining to Montana politics.
And that is why, with our combined powers, we are Montana Voices Podcast.
We strive to be an independent voice for all issues pertaining to Montanans and Montana politics.
We also strive to be very forthcoming with our personal biases as we attempt to see beyond them.
Montana Voices Podcast does not operate in a vacuum. We need your support, whether that be listening to our cast, providing us feedback, sending us conversation topics, sharing our content, or providing financial support.
We look forward to a long career in podcasting with your added assistance.
All right, well, welcome to Montana Voices Podcast, episode 42. It's great to be back.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm not sure what we were going to name this one. Something about Spotify, how we're not on Spotify and probably won't be on Spotify. But seems...
Yeah, let's just admit that we forget, so...
Oh, wait, we had 41 or 42? I don't know.
I forget, man.
42 it is. We'll count upwards. The numbers mean nothing. I'm going to have you run us through the business so I don't have to pull up that recording again.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, no. That one, we should really get a stock one somewhere.
Yeah, didn't some AM radio station give us a hip-hop role once? Maybe they could do our business in the same manner.
Oh, my God. I hope I saved that somewhere. Oh, God. I hope I saved that. That's going to be detrimental. I'm going to cancel the whole show if I can't find that now. Anyways, you're listening to this cast. You probably found us at our website, montanavoicespodcast.com. If you'd like to hit us up with any questions, concerns, or if you'd like to be on the podcast, our email address is going to be montanavoices@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is going to be @Montana_voices. Our Facebook account @Montana Voices Podcast. You can find all of our podcasts on YouTube currently, just by searching Montana Voices Podcast. Fuck Spotify.
Yeah, they're destroying podcasting and the thing that makes podcasting great, which is the no barriers to entry. I mean, guys like us can do it. And it's a very open platform, or formerly was, but they desire to be the iTunes of podcasting. So we will not be on Spotify.
Do you have to pay to be on Spotify?
No, you don't have to pay to be on Spotify, and I think they accept just about everyone now.
Why aren't we then? Like, is it just...
Just the principle of the matter is my feeling on it. How they do desire to close the system. I mean, if they were hosting their own platform, great. A lot of people do that. But their recent move to have exclusive access to podcasts, such as Joe Rogan, for example, is what grinds my gears, so to speak.
Who else do they have exclusive access to?
Didn't they get that shock jock guy that for some reason is still relevant? With the bad hair?
Howard Stern?
Yeah, that's the guy.
Really? I thought he was on Sirius.
Oh, well, maybe he's doing both. They have a few exclusive podcasts that they pay for, and they're the big heavy hitters that they paid for.
Let's see here. I'm looking at their Facebook because this is interesting. Their Wikipedia, I mean. Bill Simmons. I don't know who that is.
It's not important, apparently. I have no idea.
This is why last podcast on the left.
Oh, yeah,
that's why you're bitter.
That's why I'm bitter. I forgot all about them. I haven't listened to a single one since they went exclusive.
Well, yeah, because you don't have a Spotify account.
I mean, I could. It's also free.
We went all in on YouTube because we don't like YouTube ads when we're watching YouTube, and as a result, we had no need for Spotify because we had Google Play Music, now YouTube Music.
That's hard to keep track of. Google likes to make things, not necessarily have them.
Yeah, YouTube Music kind of sucks so far, so it's hard to say if we'll stick around with that.
Google Play Music, because that's the platform I'm using and holding on to till they take it from my cold, dead hands.
You might want to figure out a way to download your media first before you can't anymore.
I clicked the button to transfer, so it should all be there, I think.
Okay, good. Yeah, you should be all right then. I would just say make sure ahead of time there because You don't want to lose your stuff.
No, and it would be irresponsible not to have a backup outside of the cloud anyway. So if you lose your stuff, it's your own fault.
Precisely.
Well, let's get
anyways,
back into Montana.
Getting back to it there.
There's no old news. Nothing has happened recently.
The coronavirus is still out there. Body counts rising. Numbers keep pumping up.
Let the bodies hit the floor, and I fear it's going to be much worse come fall when we don't have a few environmental factors that are working in our favor, such as sunshine. And that's when the regular flu kicks up as well. Lucky us.
This is just the regular flu, depending on who you ask. So
yeah, it depends on who you ask, but I try to only listen to people that might be in the know. So I wouldn't put much credence into what some people say about this. We might as well dump into mask if we were going to open up the coronavirus thing. Bullock did have another. He does his weekly cast thing or whatever where he talks about the virus, and there was no new news this week other than the new numbers. Few cases in counties that didn't have any cases, and including my county. About a couple of weeks ago, Mineral County got 2 cases of it, and we're still below the threshold of 4. If you have 4 or more cases, or confirmed cases, you have to be strict about masks and gatherings and such. But a whole 10 people live here, so I don't think hopefully we don't cross that threshold.
Yeah, I think we had that many kick up at the school finally.
Oh yeah, I heard there was 2 new ones at Great Falls High.
The school, the high school, I believe.
Yeah, that's to be expected. I mean, this should be to the surprise of nobody. As I understand, they haven't canceled classes at all.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure all the kids are still sharing cigarettes like they always would be, and they had the janitors come in and deep clean on the weekend. And all that seemed to do was just anger the town folk, because all you saw online was just everybody getting pissed. And
about the janitors cleaning?
Stating things that they're just using this coronavirus as an excuse to pay them overtime so they don't have any money left, so then they can say they need more money for the levy. And, they're
going to vote the levy down anyway.
It's really baffling.
Well, it seems like there's always something to complain about in that camp. In some places, Great Falls specifically has this phenomenon where they hate the schools, it feels like. And I don't understand that.
It is their fetish. They just love hating the school district no matter what it feels like.
As if
I see it all the time.
Is it the
all this stuff's
administration?
supposed to help out the kids and stuff, but because until the administrators are paid minimum wage, it's like nobody's on board.
That's true, and I know we talked about the superintendent pay, wasn't it? 150, 160, somewhere around there, which it seems like
a pretty penny.
It is a pretty penny, but 1,000 plus employees. If you're the manager overseeing, that's above a general manager. In the the private sector, something with that much responsibility, that many employees, that many different branches, I think they're getting off pretty cheap for getting that kind of administrator. If you're going to pay a minimum wage, then you're going to get somebody with minimum wage skills.
Indeed, and it feels like they just assume that it's going to go to somebody who just loves the job for the sake of having the job. But it's
most teachers are that way, because to start an out teacher, it's under 4. I think it was 38 in Great Falls. And I think that's pretty close to the Montana average. But if you want to be a cop in Great Falls, that starts at, 55 to 60 for your first year out of on the GFPD. Good source of money there. So, so teachers, they're the ones that might do it for the the love of teaching and love of children or whatever. But I don't think anybody's administrating for the love of being an administrator. And as a result, you have to pay
if
them
they
a bit
are,
more.
You don't want them being an administrator, because that's just, God, you love being the boss. That's sick.
And the superintendent and I think most principals have doctorates, or at least a master's. I think a doctorate's required for. I'll have to look at the requirement. We reviewed this on an old cast, but that's. I mean, for what you're getting, the pay is actually low compared to what they could make in the private sector.
And then, yeah, when you roll it all back to how many people they have to manage and, just the day-to-day operations that go involved with that, it becomes like it's not the same as running a McDonald's necessarily.
Yeah, a few less people, and I think the margin for error is significantly higher. So,
precisely. So
I have not seen that same hatred for other school districts, and I don't know what Great Falls fetish is. Was it just that Hauk lady that they didn't like? Or am I getting my...
Was Hauk involved with it even? I thought she was a commissioner.
Oh, yeah, the commissioner with the pig factory or something.
Here's we're mixing up all of our Great Falls rage.
There's quite a bit of it. I'm so enraged that I can't.
Exactly. What are we mad about? The pig factory. Why? Because the school district's charging us levy for it, I think. Right? Yeah, I think that was it.
Well, if you had a pig factory,
on the pig district levy.
I mean, if you added that much commercial taxable property to Cascade County, I think you wouldn't need a levy.
Probably, but then that brings in all the problems that come along with the slaughterhouse, which is what they wanted to bring in. And I'm against that because I really just don't want all the problems that come with having a commercial slaughterhouse right next to your town.
Certainly there's a problem. I mean...
Indeed. So I would rather just, fork up the extra $26 a month or whatever the fuck it is and... call it even.
Well, some people chose neither.
The rest of the town will die on this hill over their dead bodies if you think you're going to get, any more money out of them for Mrs. Euchre's paycheck.
Taxation is theft, So that's the thing I hear
Straight
with
up.
every levy that comes out. It's not going to teachers or supplies. Administrators got a raise or whatever. Moving away from Great Falls, let's, I don't know, you want to do the water compact or you want to do a racist lake?
We go straight for the racist lake, I think.
Yeah, we'll end up on a high note. There is a lost coon lake. Today I learned. And there's... Still, there was a, and the people that own property around that lake, and this is around Whitefish, so we're talking about $1 million houses to begin with. I mean, they've got their own private lake, essentially.
It's lost.
It's Lost Loon. Lost Coon Lake, excuse me. And they've been calling it Lost Loon Lake because nobody wants to say coon. Which
you mean they don't want to, or like they're just not doing it outside of like parties with other people around that area?
I mean, other than making fun of them for living on Lost Coon Lake, I don't think anybody's calling it that. And certainly in the there's also a golf course and sort of a resort that's there. And in their promotional material, they call it Lost Loon Lake. Even though on Google Maps...
I like loon.
So do I.
'Cause that's the bird, isn't it?
I'm not even sure, but as far as I know, it's not
Pretty
racist.
sure a loon's a bird. It's a Canadian duck or some
Canadians?
shit. Let me look it up.
Nice. Going to be started on Canadians, Bryce. So it's worth noting history. There are some people that are quick to say that the term coon is not racist, and that the naming of this lake was not racist. Consider the history that this lake was... The name Lost Coon Lake was a compromise. It used to be called Lost N-Word Lake. And so they compromised in the 80s to rename it from that. So it definitely does have a racist legacy. But for some reason we're seeing some backlash. And I think typical of a lot of issues, those that are most offended or least affected, the majority of the people that own property around the lake, I think it was like 12 out of 21, which is more than a majority, want to change the name. But this has caused an uproar, and people that have, like myself, have never heard of this lake before, are suddenly talking about heritage and history or something. The usual doppelganger that they put in there for casual racism.
Yeah, I don't know. The fact that they just didn't name it Lost Loon Lake back in the 80s is also just very disappointing.
Well, it was a compromise. I guess some people wanted to have it still be named,
who wanted it to stay?
I don't have their names, records from that area are spotty. So going back to history, when it was settled in the late 1800s to 1900s, there was a woman there who had a shop of some sorts. and they called her the N-word, so they called it Lost N-word Lake. Turns out that woman was not black; she was actually Mexican.
That's even worse.
So as always, and this does happen to me occasionally, they're getting their racist terms mixed up. They're calling me the wrong racial slur.
I take back wanting to go to the story first. Like, I thought we could make fun of it, but this is just like, I'm just disappointed now.
Well, it is disappointing.
Loon Lake now, at least, or is this like something like they got a debate and like we're gonna hear from, Montana's finest about why we should keep the name around?
I'm sure people that don't live near Whitefish will bust themselves up there to protest this. So, and it's coming up to the city commission.
Buses.
At least they're not coming from Portland, right?
I was going to say, which way are they coming? They're not coming in from Spokane, are they?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. You know what's out that way. You know what's out that way.
I've never seen one, and I've been promised, including my local rep.
Me either.
My local rep, Jennifer Fielder, whatever she is, House District, whatever. She kind of started this. It's like, they're loading up some buses in Portland, and they're coming to Western Montana. And I think it was Antifa that was coming over here, or it could have been BLM. I think they use those terms interchangeably.
Antifa sounds. It sounds like an ant, straight up, like somebody's aunt.
And I know we covered this last time, but there was a thing circulating around about them having a special BLM meeting over at the Garnet Ghost Town, and that was in mid-August.
Like a firearms training.
And as far as I know, that did not happen.
Of course it didn't. Because it's not...
It's like any...
You know what, everyone... Let me throw this right back to... real quick to the beginning of the show. And just put it out there. If anyone knows of any Antifa, like, we want to know if they exist. Hit us up, montanavoices@gmail.com.
Well,
we want to know. What's up?
Well, everybody has access to a printer, and that was the one where somebody printed out some flyers and hung them up saying BLM, Garnet, whatever. And apparently anybody can register a domain, because I think as we're recording this, Antifa.com redirects to JoeBiden.com. Yeah, anybody can register a domain. Apparently, somebody in this...
Well, yeah, remember when, I'm trying to think, Jeb Bush, 2016, I think?
Did they do the same thing to him? Jeb?
Yeah, that was the final nail in the coffin there, is that he forgot to grab his own domain, and it happened to expire right at the worst time possible, and one of Trump's aides picked it up and it redirected back to Trump's page.
Well, if you can't manage your domains, do you have any business running a country?
Nope.
There you have it, and that's why we don't have a Bush. Why we're not having that debate on Bush. And speaking of presidents, recent poll shows that Trump is up 7 points in this state, which is less than his margin that he won by in 2016.
Well, I kind of had a feeling he would be up in this area.
Seems like we're conservative folks. He's not up in Missoula, I'll tell you that much. So,
yeah, Great Falls is still fairly split, but it's not been, from what I've seen over the past 3 years or so, there's not been a lot of swaying. Everybody who was on one side or the other is basically just more hardened in their opinions.
If only there was some other option.
Yeah.
I know you're going to be mad about me bringing up a
we
third
can keep
party.
dreaming, I suppose.
We can. I mean, it'll be painful. When is the right time? When is the right time to make that jump? We'll get back to that, or not. Let's. This is towards the end of the list, but we'll skip to it. Apparently, Pence is going to make a visit to the Bozeman area, and the campaign is getting a little bit of hot water because they have done no coordination with the health department, the Gallatin County Health Department, on that subject. So,
why would they need to?
There's a pandemic going on.
Did you see the footage there? I'm trying to think which state they were in. It was like New Hampshire, I believe, but there was a mask order within that state. And so over the loudspeaker before they started up the campaign rally, they make the announcement that there's in accordance with state law or mandate or whatever it is, please wear your masks, and immediately everybody starts booing and going crazy, and nobody puts on their masks.
Of course not. We're even losing it here in Missoula County. I had to do some shopping today and went to the worst Walmart. It's always disappointing going to Walmart. But, hey, where else going to get a birthday present in Charcoal at the same place? So, yeah. Anyway, but masks, we were only about 90% masks, which is a big switch from recently. You couldn't go anywhere without a mask in Missoula, and I think most places you still can't, but we're losing our grip on the masks in Missoula County. And I understand Yellowstone County's already there. You're more not masked than you have there.
I assume so. There's probably a lot of people showing up and giving the excuse, "Oh, I can't breathe. I got a medical condition."
I mean, it's Schrodinger's mask. It's either completely ineffective against the virus, or it'll strangle you.
It's one or the other. Either die by the virus or die by a lack of oxygen.
I mean, here, like I said, I'm in Mineral County. There's not really any gatherings, and so as a result, there's not very many masks. And I understand that some churches have taken up this cry and are hosting mask-free only services. Ironically, before their mask services, where the I assume vulnerable people would go right after. So the first service is mask-free. Talking about one church in particular in Great Falls. The second service is for the vulnerable population. So they get exposed to all the services that these maskless people touched just hours before.
Whoa, so like people who potentially may have been like staying in their basement for an extended period of time could leave then and go to this worship service?
Yes. Open to everybody.
But
no masks.
If they go, they would risk potentially, infection, essentially.
Yes.
Ooh, catch-22.
Yeah, I know. Leaving the basement for God. It's
send me a sign, Lord, but please let it be at the top of the stairs.
So, Pence, like on sort of the MO of the this administration, is we're in charge and you have to deal with that. We're going to do our things. So he's coming to Bozeman next week to campaign for Gianforte, who is, of course, running against Lieutenant Governor and hopeful next governor, Mike Cooney, who, other than being the guy under Bullock, we know nothing about. It kind of feels like we're following up Clinton with Gore here, because we got Bullock, we got the figurehead, and then we have this Cooney guy, Al Gore. Very exciting.
I really hope they start putting out some ads or something for this guy, because this feels a lot like... How was it, Williams or Curtis? One of the two. Like they both, neither of them really ran a bunch of ads. It wasn't a big hype train like it was when Tester ran.
Well, there's money involved, and these Gianforte is pretty much self-funded. He's taking donations, but he can loan himself, several $1 million, which he has done to this point, for his own campaign.
Well, yeah, he's from California. That's it. He's a billionaire from California.
Yeah, so he can afford to fund himself. So for the people that are even excited about Gianforte, knowing that he can and is funding himself, why would you send him your hard-earned dollars? So you are on the right. There's other candidates who could likely don't have that option. Your local representatives could need your assistance.
I mean, that sounds kind of socialist-y to go, like, giving them your money.
Well, that's what they want.
To each their own, I suppose. Anyways, and then the other guy running, too, also California.
Oh,
I don't think
California.
He's a millionaire, but who knows?
Doesn't he have his own plane? Is that Danes' plane, or is that Gianforte's plane? Who has the plane?
Gianforte's got a plane, I believe.
Yeah, but
I'm sure he lets Danes borrow it.
He flies with Danes, take his personal.
You take a couple more from the lobbyists, and maybe one day you can afford a plane like this. Haha, just kidding. I like to think there's some lighthearted jabs like that. Who knows? Do they let Tester come?
No. They're going to the same spot, but I have ridden on a plane with Tester. I've ridden on Delta with Tester. So
Was he first class?
yeah, he was in a different section entirely. They actually let him board first.
He
Talk
get
about
on
the
first
elites
class.
here. No, he just he wasn't even in line. We were like moments before boarding, and then Tester runs in, and his aides are beside him, and he just walks right past everything, gets right on the plane.
But like, where did he sit at, man?
First class, of course.
So like, you walk by and like you could see him.
Yes, I saw him, and I imagine this happens every plane flight because, of course, they're all Montanans flying on this, and they saw Tester board, so they want to talk to Tester, and then they'd stop, and you have to walk right by him.
Everybody,
And
every single.
every single one of the flight attendants like, move it along now, get her moving to your seat, ma'am. Like for every single person. I was like, maybe he should board
Just
last.
imagine
So
some
that's-
old farmer. No, I gotta talk to the son of a bitch. I sent him $5. He needs to hear this now.
Yeah, but man of the people Tester flying, although first class, but if you did have to fly twice a week, you probably splurge for that extra $10. I mean, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks to sit in the back of a plane.
Get that seat and that right next to the toilet on the.
Or even worse, I mean, I think the worst one's right next to the exit. Because there's, like, no matter what, that seal's a little bit off. And
But you get 3 more inches
know.
of leg room.
you do, but it's not worth it for the air pressure difference there for me, at least. I don't know, I always get earaches whenever I sit there.
Well, we were moving on to Danes, who is on the plane with Gianforte, and his family history is a bit confusing. His recent statement is that his family is from Montana, but they moved down to California before his birth for work, supposedly, and then after he was born, they moved back to Montana, where he attended kindergarten till now. So he says a fifth-generation Montanan, even though he was born in California. And we've pondered this before. How long is long enough to be a Montanan? I mean, we give Kathleen Williams sort of... We passed the eye on that because she was a military brat growing up, and then came to Montana. So we sort of let that one go, but we're not doing the same for Danes. Obviously not a military association there, but... Do we just let her off the hook because it was a military army brat thing, or? And I'm asking the
Well,
tough
I mean,
questions here.
she hasn't taken such a hard stance on people coming into our territory from outside of it, I guess. So I guess
that again.
there isn't as much irony in it. So
The irony
no,
now.
that's
Now
why I haven't made such a big stink.
Now
But
Mexico won't
with
let
the,
us in. The irony.
with Danes and Gianforte taking the stance they do on borders, I feel it's worth pointing out, that they're kind of, what a lot of Montanans would consider, jokingly the invaders as well, being, them fucking Californians,
Coming to Montana and bringing their California values up here.
right? God. They come now with their Ben and Jerry's ice cream and their almond milk.
Are you sure there isn't a mass exodus from Vermont? That's...
I mean, they're both from Bozeman, aren't they? I'll
Yeah.
never forget Bozeman's the first place I saw a Tesla charging plant.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's
And
money
all I
there.
could think to myself was, that's so Bozeman.
It is. Bozeman is mostly imports. So Bozeman is sort of the yuppie community of Montana, I feel. And as a result, they were the first to get hit with the virus really hard from people coming to Montana to escape the virus. And they brought it with them.
Yeah, because they had, they have the school there too, so... if I
Well, so does
recall, they had
Missoula, though.
A big outbreak as a result of that.
But Missoula County doesn't have the same numbers as Gallatin County. It just exploded over there. Because, it's Missoula, although kind of upclass in places, is still the dirty version of Bozeman, pretty much. people aren't buying their third homes in Missoula to, summer over here. That's both. So anywho, Danes. He recently listed he's a fifth-generation Montanan, and if you look back at some of his earlier campaign material, that number has changed. He used to say back in 2014, or in 2014, he added 2 generations for fifth. In 2002, when he was running, he claimed he was a third generation. Before that, he just claimed he was a Montanan. So maybe next time he'll be here before the Indians. So he'll be a 10th generation Montanan.
Yeah, he's I don't know. I don't like it.
Well, let's speaking on Danes, talk about his China thing, because it's sort of a quagmire in how this China business is handled. I mean, the left is quick to say, the left, who seemingly wants to cooperate with China on some things, is quick to point out that he worked in China and has close ties to China, and he wants to say that his ties to China will benefit the country and Montana in some way. I'm not sure how China would affect, us here, other than getting cheap stuff in the mail. But he's touting that line. So it'll be interesting.
But we're supposed to buy American and stuff. I don't understand this. I don't buy it.
You don't buy American? I mean, you.
No, I mean I don't buy this. Ties to China nonsense. If we're supposed to be buying American.
Well, you're right. One should be, in my opinion, not because I'm particularly nationalist, because here in America we have protections and seemingly everybody is treated fairly, unlike China, where things are made for pennies by sometimes even slave labor. So, and that's just my stand. We're getting outside of Montana again to go to China. My goodness. Terrible, this, Bryce.
That's when all my opinions start getting wild. I don't understand what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, outside of Montana is a scary place that we don't need to worry about right now. So we'll see how that plays out, because he is tying in that Trump support, and Trump does want people to think he is tough on China, as he says it. But Danes is in, I wouldn't say in tight with them, but at least has it. I wonder if he speaks Mandarin.
Oh man, that'd be wild if he can speak fluent Mandarin or something. Can you imagine that?
If there was a tape of that could swing the election.
Just set off the red flags like wild.
Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe it would be like Beto trying to speak Spanish. I don't know if you remember that. It was unnatural. You reading that from a prompt? Anyway, the Greens are out. There's going to be no Green Party on the ballot this November. So thanks, Democrats.
Well, maybe they should have followed the rules. I don't understand.
Not been funded by the GOP, which is pretty much an open fact at this point.
Yeah, I guess next year maybe find funding elsewhere.
Or collect signatures enough to do it. So in Montana, you still have the Libertarians. They're sort of a party. Somehow they qualify, but the Greens couldn't get it together to actually be on the ballot. As you recall from a previous cast, that the Greens were petitioned to be on the ballot and paid all the fees to be on the ballot, but the Green Party themselves was sort of almost dissolved and had no part in this. So they didn't go out and collect their signatures. Somebody else was paid, probably from Portland again. They bust them over so they can collect signatures for the Green Party.
Well, yeah. Mr. Soros there, he puts his money to work. These college kids, they'll work for probably just weed as it is, so, weed and McDonald's.
I mean, cut out the middleman. You don't even need to pay him. Just get him that weed.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. He just gives him a bag of weed and drops him off in Missoula and, problem solved.
It's going to be on the ballot again. So maybe we'll be a much more green state come this November.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I have a feeling it'll pass, but we'll yeah, I've been surprised before, though.
I mean, when you look at places like Oregon, Colorado, Washington, sort of the places that we like to hate on, they did this first. So I imagine that some people that have no relation to weed and could care less about anybody else using weed might vote in that regard, simply because it's It's a Portland thing. Damn weirdos over there.
Oh yeah, geez, just watch they're gonna go associating it with Portland. That'll be the end of it.
Well, there's already sort of campaigns popping up to not have weed, and it's they display like the you remember the Just Say No ads of the '90s, or this is your braid on drugs, or here they've yet to pull out the Portland card.
There, Joe, just you wait. We're gonna have some pretty terrible stuff come out, I'll bet.
So there is a film ranch. Yellowstone Film Ranch is hoping to bring productions to Montana, Hollywood productions, Western productions. Is there a big demand for Western movie sets that I'm not aware of?
That Yellowstone movie, or Yellowstone show is really big right now, so...
Oh, that Westwood one?
Yeah, so I assume it has something to do with that.
Well, they already have a set, I assume.
Well, I mean, Yellowstone, I assume.
Well, we missed
be
this,
wrong,
but apparently there was a Media Act, which is Montana Economic Industry Advancement Act, which gives huge tax breaks to productions willing to shoot in Montana.
Yeah, that's a big business, like, for a lot of places, actually, now I think about it.
I mean, I'm not sure why we haven't exploited this earlier. I mean, when you look at the productions like Lord of the Rings being shot in Iceland, and in fact, most of those wilderness shows over there. Wait, you say Greenland?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Ah, it's New Zealand. And Canada has a huge film industry.
Yeah.
And it's not
Same
just
reason. Tax breaks.
Tax breaks. Well, taxation is theft. So
That was a big deal when I forget which state it was in. I think it was Georgia, where they passed the bathroom transgender stuff. And like a bunch of film companies like backed out and said they were gonna, cease filming within the state, and like that put a bunch of pressure on them, or was intended to. I doubt it did, but that was the idea. That they'd be like, okay, well, never mind, we're not going to come film here.
in Georgia over the bathrooms.
I'm pretty certain it was Georgia because it was like The Walking Dead, I believe.
I remember them. Is that show still on?
Good question. Let me check.
I lost track when they stayed on a ranch for like
I'm interested too now because I know for certain everybody's dead in it from the original one.
Really?
Yeah, looks like it's still going here. Oh gosh.
Wow. That's like 10 seasons, isn't it?
Yeah. 10 seasons here. We're on season 11 now.
Well, they're just holding on to that. I mean, they made it into a soap opera, just like that motorcycle show, The Sons of Anarchy. How it's a soap opera with bitch bikers.
It ruined it for the one percenters. Let's see. Executive producer David Albert said in 2014 that the comics have given them enough ideas for Rick Grimes and company over the next 7 years. Oh my!
7 more?
Like that was.
Jeez. You mean Young and the Restless? Jeez.
A couple more to go here, at least here. We have a pretty good idea of what season 10 is going to be. We know where seasons 11 and 12 will be. Oh. So so at least 12 is what they're planning on. Oh, man.
Well, we touched on the bathroom thing. There's no bathroom news going on in Montana at the moment that I'm aware of. As far as I know, we have no bathroom regulations, I think. I may have to look that up.
We have other things to complain about right now.
Yeah, well, many other things. But I think this ties into, and sort of the same crowd that advocates for bathroom legislation, is the Save Our Children crowd.
Yeah, well, that's right there prime. The number one place that your kids are going to be targeted is in the bathroom by a transsexual.
Is it? I think statistics show differently that they're most likely to be abused
well,
by somebody
I mean,
somebody you let see them.
These people, anyone I've ever talked to that tries to, throw that angle at me, makes it sound like this is how it's going to happen. This is how it happens.
I would bet that the number of assaults that has happened in public bathrooms, commercial public bathrooms, is pretty small. I'm thinking. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but
I'm pretty certain there's been several, but it's it's about on par with what you would expect for just random occurrences of any sort of assault, and because it's that specific tiny cookie cutter, it gets glorified like a ton. So.
Well, I have seen Save the Children protest here in Missoula. They, for some reason, do it near the Walmart, near the intersection for the Walmart that smells at night, instead of the courthouse, where one is already, they already boarded it up. I'm not sure if that's part of construction or if they were just prepping for protest riots, but as far as I know, there's been little violence at our protests here. The BLM protests have died down a lot, but there are still a few people there occasionally. But I don't know why they did that there. I mean, aren't you protesting the the perception of inaction by our court and justice system to address this, child safety issue? Why wouldn't you do it downtown where the judges are?
Well, you can get the signs at Walmart, and we don't have a ride to the courthouse. Mom can only drop us off downtown. I don't know. I'm just giving reasons why I would imagine kids in a college town couldn't make it down there.
Well,
the
demographic
I don't understand why they wouldn't go to the courthouse.
The,
Are they not allowed to? Because wasn't there an issue at the courthouse not too long ago?
Here, there was an incident of...
oh, yeah, now I remember. The dispatch center's there. So, they... didn't they, flip out about that?
Yes, that was mentioned about their access, but our protests here, I think maximum they had down there was 50 or so people, and it went like a regular protest. There were signs, there was chanting. Of course, Trump people showed up to see it for themselves and hold the peace. That happened a few times when the people...
In case the cops need any help.
And I advocated for this, but they did it completely wrong. I suggested that yes, you want to show up and keep the peace, march with them, bring a sign, talk to people that are there, be armed, whatever, with them. But no, they chose to do it in their own little group of all white cis men across the street to observe and keep the peace. So I didn't think I needed to explain it much further. It's not something you think you need to tell people that... if you're not with the protesters and you're across the street from the protesters, that maybe they're going to see you as an adversarial force, which is exactly what happened. There was high tensions there. There were, I think, 2 incidents offhand of some assaults or violence, but that's pretty low, I think, considering... I think we're all reasonable people here, even the ones that did their counter-protest completely wrong. Because it is hard to disagree when somebody says... Yeah, the Black Lives. Maybe we shouldn't kill these people. Although all lives does pop up, and it's disappointing every time I see it.
Yeah, it'll never get old there. Every time I hear all lives matter, it's the same type of person saying it.
I've never experienced racism in Whitefish. Those people? Anywho, well, progress will be made despite them, so we'll just leave that one at that. But have you seen, or is there a representation of the Save Our Children? I wouldn't even call it a movement at this point. So I'm not sure.
Well, actually, now that you mention it, let me circle back around because I always forget that it's linked to Save Our Children, but Save Our Children, actually, that's one where I've seen people from both sides jump in and, they're tweeting the same stuff. And
it does seem like we can all agree on
that. The same demonstration there, because, yeah, exactly, and it is. It's I think we can all agree that child rape is bad, and, yeah, well, okay, I'll help you make a sign then. And then... I can think of at least a couple hard left friends of mine on Facebook who do post Save Our Children stuff quite frequently. And I don't know how you couldn't agree with it.
I'm not sure what the what immediate steps they're looking for to reach that goal, or any goal other than chanting. I mean, when we first started seeing BLM and Antifa really pop up, first they had sayings and stuff, and I was like, okay, this is something that maybe we can get behind, but what's the step to get to where we want to be? And they, for better or worse, came up with defund the police and some other things. But I haven't seen that on this side yet, or on this movement yet. So maybe they come up with a goal of, I don't know, hold pedophiles accountable, or get rid of judges that give lenient sentences. That seems ideal. Or not do what California did. In fact, that's probably a good rule in life, to not do what California does. We'll just do our own thing.
Well, yeah, no doubt. But no, I think a lot of that happens with like the Epstein stuff right now, because that's still an ongoing thing. So I think that ties back into Save Our Children quite a bit. People want to see, justice get served, and to the fullest extent with everything to do with what's her face, Giselle.
Oh, she's still alive for
Maxwell. Yeah, probably pretty distraught, but still heart beating, neck intact
for the moment. Anyway, let's funnel our rage. Some hear about the rail in Missoula, whatever. People want to bring trains here again, directly from Portland and Washington, ironically. We'll see if that happens. Moving on to Bozeman being on fire. We are somehow running long, Bryce. But there's not really a limit. I mean, we could do this all night if we wanted. But Bozeman is on fire. The mayor has stepped down because apparently he's a jerk.
You see, okay, well, I gotta say, this is quite the day to be seen as a jerk mayor, just given what happened to that mayor out in Minnesota. I don't know if you guys saw the video. Look up Minnesota mayor arrested. It's pretty hilarious, the video. Like, he just walks straight up and starts harassing these cops that are trying to do a traffic stop, and rightfully so. We don't know what the reason for the traffic stop is, and this is just like a second cop pulling up, as second cops do all the time, just to be like, "Hi, what'd you pull him over for, man?" I've had that happen to me multiple times, and more than not, the cop will leave. Half the time I've had him stay until the end of it, but whatever. But this guy shows up and immediately starts telling these two cops that they're dicks.
Jeez. Well, that's some maybe misplaced anger.
And then, his dog gets loose, and they're like, "And now your dog's loose on the highway, sir." And he immediately is like, "Well, he wouldn't be if I didn't have to stop and harass you guys."
And arrested him. Well, probably rightfully so. Just real quick, I will say that there is some anger towards law enforcement, and I think, given recent events, rightfully so. But placing an anger on the individuals doing their job is misplaced, unless they happen to be doing something wrong. So,
precisely. And these poor guys literally, this is a side of a highway. This guy had, from the looks of the video that was released, no way he would have known, because it looks like he just walks up from behind it on the side of the interstate there,
Wow. Well, I'd like to hope that can happen in Montana, but jerk mayor. He had numerous allegations that he bullied staff and interfered with city administration, and apparently was bad enough to get him to step down. But in this day and age of politics, I thought being a bully that gets stuff done was a good thing. I guess not.
Guess you gotta have people that'll be a bully, and then people that are gonna take that. But maybe he worked with other bullies instead of people that were gonna take that.
We're not gonna take that. So I put it under the headline, "Bozeman is on fire," and it's also literally on fire. It burnt the M for their hiking trail over in Bozeman. That, I guess, is no longer vegetation. And the same thing almost happened in Missoula. The hill right next to the M burnt.
Yeah, I was surprised actually. The hill, I think it's Hill 57. It's called in Great Falls.
Doesn't that start on fire every year?
Not yet. The summer's not over just quite, but usually at least once a summer that place or that hill catches on fire in some regard. And this time it stayed unlit, and I was surprised.
Well, it's not over yet. We've got some hot temps coming up.
Yeah, indeed. I remember one time it was not even 2 or 3 days later, and like it caught on fire a second time.
It must have been a training exercise. Well, moving back to Great Falls, NDO. That's not a thing. That's the non-discrimination ordinance.
Non-discrimination ordinance. Nearly.
They're not even going to discuss it. Will not be voted on by the commission. Not even a discussion.
I can imagine that.
I mean, it seems that at the point, because when they say we're not going to vote on this, you don't know whom is yay or nay. But if they vote on it, then you have a vote on record to who is against the NDO and who's in favor. So them saying that is sort of a... the town was pretty split on that, wasn't it?
It was. And you think that such a split would, indicate the need for a vote.
But they apparently deciding not to do anything. I mean, at the point where you have 2 special meetings on the subject, after one 3-hour-long session of community input on it, you'd think at that point, you're like, well, we need a vote on this, yay or nay, and you schedule another session to do that or do it then. But they, what was the argument against it? I can't even recall.
I believe the main argument was that there wasn't a need for it because there's no discrimination.
Yes,
which is hilarious too, because like the people, I'm trying to think. The one comment I saw said, I've never seen any discrimination towards them, and if even so, we shouldn't have to make special rules for them if they want to live a godless lifestyle. And it's like, oh gosh, you guys are really missing the main point here in this, I think.
Well, it comes back to the cakes. Always the cakes. I mean,
you say that it always comes back to God, though, I think is really what it comes back to.
Well, it comes back to Well, lots of things could. I feel that this issue has the issue against LGBTQ rights and just anything to do with them, advocating against it has gotten an unwarranted amount of attention from these people on the Christian and evangelical right. For what reason, I don't know. It's I think it's mentioned twice in the Bible or something.
Yeah, but look, man.
Jesus never spoke on this specific
these people
subject.
Are just very hard set on this. I mean, even Jerry Falwell, I'm pretty sure he stayed on the other side of the room when the pool boy was balls deep in his wife. I don't think that he got in there at all at the same time. I think he waited until session 1 was over before player 3 entered the game, if you know what I mean.
You had to bring up Falwell. So there are some that say, like Cohen, for example. I don't know if you can believe the guy, but he says that Falwell actually doesn't like Trump at all and was blackmailed into giving him an endorsement on this very subject, blackmailed on the cucking subject.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, then he should have just owned up to it and been like, hey, who's next? And then that would have just really been a real, I
think we would have had respect from him if he said, people make mistakes. We'll give them that. People make, and who knows? Maybe they don't even consider this a mistake. Maybe this is their thing. People do practice.
They seemed pretty happy in those pictures I saw.
Oh, that one with him and that woman that's not his wife on the yacht? That picture? The one where he obviously just had sex with this woman? Because you can tell in pictures?
Oh, where, he's holding the drink and he's got his pants unzipped?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I saw it.
I saw that, I was like, he totally just did that. Jeez. Well, that's dumb. And these things have a way of coming to the light, I think. So, one way or another. But maybe blackmailed, maybe not, or maybe this is his entire thing Jerry Falwell Jr. is not his dad, Jerry Falwell, and has never been. But I'm thinking that I listen to a lot of right-wing radio. I probably shouldn't. And I listen to some even evangelical right-wing radio. Also probably shouldn't. But for the past year or so, they've been trying to sort of distance themselves for Jerry Falwell Jr. So
Distance themselves from him?
yeah, maybe they saw this sort of thing coming. Like, sort of the phrasing I heard is, it was part political sermon, basically. And it was talking about how you can't serve two gods, how if you're a real believer that's doing stuff, that you don't have a place in politics, that they're mutually exclusive. And then they start talking about Jerry Falwell, and they're like, well, he chose politics, so he's not with us anymore. So they've been trying to distance themselves for a year. So maybe they had a heads up that something was going down on him. So anyway, how'd we get on Jerry Falwell? Oh, the gays.
Say it again?
The LGBTQ community in Great Falls, which will apparently in the near future not be enjoying equal rights protections on the local level.
What about him? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Like, it broke out.
Oh, yeah, the internet